So we had two videos that we were watching this week. One was on emotional intelligence in the workforce, and the other one was the puzzle behind motivation. Um, Unfortunately, the emotional intelligence in the workforce one, the link wasn't working. I'll still talk about what my thoughts about it is, but most of this video will be about the motivation. So the motivational TED Talk was actually I thought it was very interesting actually. It was less than 20 minutes, and I learned a great deal, more of what kind of just solidified what I already knew. Um, so it started out basically talking about how motivation works, and then he went on to talk about the Kendall study. So, and then as he was talking about this study, he, he then explained how it worked and what happened, and then there was another scientist who did a different version of this um, study. This study that this other scientist had done was a little different. So it used incentives to motivate the participants of this study, and unfortunately that incentive did not work. The study ended up being longer. The time that it took them to do this particular task wasn't shorter. It ended up being like 3.5 minutes longer. Well, finishing up this TED Talk, he basically goes on to say that um, incentives only work as a motivational tool if it's a mechanical um, skill or job. It doesn't work if it requires you to use your basically cognitive skills, which I thought makes a lot of sense. When I was listening in, I was like, okay, when he kept talking about it, I was like, that actually does make a lot of sense. Because to me, I feel like incentives, because one of my, you know, one of my jobs actually used commission as a way to motivate you. Well, I did not quite like that, and I feel like it forced me to try harder, but at the same time, I wasn't as um, invested in my job. I feel like it caused me, by doing that incentive, it caused me to actually do worse at my job than to do better. And I'm almost 100% sure I'm not the only one to feel this way. I feel like doing that kind of thing really doesn't, motivating by incentives like that at commission really doesn't help people. I feel like it really puts an invisible pressure on that person, and it causes them to feel more stress for their job than they need to. I'm a big advocate of doing what you love and loving what you do, and to me, incentives like that really don't work for me. Um, Although I would love an incentive trip to Hawaii or Fiji, but I think that things like commission and bonuses tend to be the opposite. I feel like all that stress really makes you worse at your job. Um, Maybe it works for some people. It really doesn't work for me. The other video was about emotional intelligence in the workforce. Now, again, like I said before, this link didn't work, but here were my thoughts about emotional intelligence in the workforce. I believe emotional intelligence in the workforce is very important, especially as a leader. You have to um, be able to communicate with your team and be able to um, sympathize and empathize with your team members as well, because things could be going on, and they could be a great team member, but say their dog passed away or their mom passed away and they're not doing so well, and you have to be able to understand that, because you don't want to lose a great employee. Plus, it also works on a personal basis, because with people, you have to be able to work out your own emotions as well, and that'll help you from not getting as stressed or um, as worn out over the course of your job. But again, I go back to your team because, you know, as a leader, that's you you have to look out for your team. In my eyes, I feel like um, my team, yes, that some of them may be older than me, but um, that's basically my job, is to make sure that my team is functioning well and doing well, and anything I can do to help them, I'll do, because I feel like that is my job as a leader. So I feel like these two go hand in hand. While some people are self motivators and can motivate themselves, other people work better with incentives. Um, Other people work better being motivated by somebody else, among other things. And I feel like an emotional intelligence, these two do work hand in hand um, when it comes to being a great leader, and that it's a very important aspect that both leaders that leaders should be aware of and put in place when it comes to their workforce. And they should, when it comes to motivation, they should know what works best with their team, what works best overall, and to make sure that their team doesn't get, you know, too worn out or too stressed, because I feel like that's a big problem nowadays. And this and having emotional intelligence and knowing about motivation and the aspects that would help their team would be best. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you guys have a great night.